What was the craziest reason a teacher at your school got fired? In high school, Florida, for PE, our teacher took us canoeing. Instead of checking the weather, he brought 15 freshmen into the channel our school was on. A severe thunderstorm hit, and our teacher paddled safely back to school and left us teens in the water. We tied our canoes together and rowed back to school, but we were drenched and super late. Our teacher was just standing on the dock, not a care in the world. He got fired like 2 days later. Our high school art teacher got fired after someone found an old YouTube video of him painting with his ass cheeks. We held a protest to try to keep him around, but they fired him anyway. Threw a chair across the classroom, hitting a student in the process. I think she was going through a divorce or something, but it was the talk of the town. Throughout the whole week, we never saw her again. After that, she posted nude on her public Facebook profile. He was caught putting a camera under the girls' swimming changing room door. Year 6. Grade 5. Edit. This was about 6 years ago. Don't know what happened to him after he was fired. A professor at my college was placed on administrative leave because he was charged with participating in the Rwandan genocide and was deported shortly after. He ended up being found not guilty, although I think he's still in a Rwandan prison for denying that the genocide happened. Edit. To be more clear, his opinion was that the genocide was not a genocide, and that it was a civil war in which the Hutu were victimized as much as, if not more than, the Tutsi. Shop teacher got a sophomore pregnant. Not sure if crazy or dumb, but my teacher when I was in 3rd grade got fired for selling us Pokemon cards that she would confiscate from other classes during recess. She told us we could buy the cards, about 25 cents, but we couldn't have them out during school hours. Other than the said scandal with underage students that happened, my best friend got a teacher fired on accident because she was buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards with students. He just so happened to say how cool it was to another teacher, which led to, well, the not so happy ending. I was at a Catholic school, and one teacher got fired because he remarried after a divorce. Teacher sent upon link instead of Google form by email. Many students then commented on the video with a lot of great jokes. Funny times. He got fired the next day. My teacher posted booze to their course Canvas page and then claimed it wasn't him. There was an IT investigation after they were instantly suspended from teaching. It was him, and he got fired. She was involved in a murder. No, she didn't kill anyone. She was one of the last people that were seen with the victim. She was the victim's best friend. News reporters kept on showing up to my school to try to get any words they could from my teacher, and as you can imagine, it became a huge distraction for the students. It was sad. The case became pretty famous in my home state, and a law was created in the victim's name. The law called for bouncers at bars and clubs to be more thoroughly checked for any past criminal activity. My teacher's friend was murdered by a bouncer who was supposed to be helping her into a taxi after the bar closed. The bar owner didn't know that the bouncer had been a felon. I didn't really want to add too many details out of respect for my teacher, because she was honestly a wonderful person, and we could tell how traumatized she was by the whole thing. A history teacher I had in high school gave us a lot of random documentary and movie days, during which she would just sit in the back at her desk drinking tea. The year after I graduated, she had a movie day, and when the film ended, she didn't get up or do anything but sit there, eyes closed, fearing the worst. Some students went to the office and brought an administrator down, who found she was passed out drunk. They found bottles in her desk. She got fired on the spot that day. I went to high school in the early 80s, in a tiny rural Appalachian town 35 miles from the closest traffic light. We had classes that taught auto mechanics, one that taught carpentry, had a motorcycle riding class, and a rifle shooting class, and classes for welding and machine shop with lathes and milling machines, etc. The teacher of the machine shop Got arrested for making silencers for the mafia, and half the stuff he had us making as class projects on the lathes and milling machines was items he used in making them. A teacher called one of his students, and drunk confessed his obsessive love to her on voicemail, promising to leave his new wife and baby for her. He was let go days later. Cussing out a student. It was a librarian at an elementary school. She was fired the next day. She quit. She was the nicest teacher in the city's school in my area. Taught 10th grade history. My class was particularly very bad to her, though she also told me her other classes weren't great either. She was made fun of because though she was in her 30s, she had short and choppy gray hair, and her being nice all the time led to kids getting away with more than they should have. One day after a bad class, my class came in and started bullying her again. She had already clearly been crying, and that day she had enough. She spent that day telling us that she has a very rare form of brain cancer. Showed us pictures of her just a few years back with her husband and deceased child. Even then, some of the kids in that class had no empathy and thought it poetic justice for a teacher to get cancer. That was her last day. I hugged her on the way out. I was a shy kid, didn't really talk much, but I wish I had said more. Unfortunately, she has since passed away. A student teacher who was coaching cheer gave a girl pain meds, narcotic, without a prescription or permission from parents. She got fired. Never heard if she managed to get a teaching license after that. My kindergarten teacher picked me up by the neck and tossed me across the room. She wasn't actually fired, just not allowed to teach kindergarten again. Instead, she taught 2nd grade. She was my teacher that year, too. In her defense, odds are pretty good that I had it coming. Our AP calculus teacher in high school had a mental break, ranted for an entire class period about some nonsense, then drank an entire bottle of salsa, stormed out and never came back. They had a substitute for the rest of the semester, which was unfortunate since the sub wasn't a calculus teacher, so they were at a disadvantage for the AP test. Long story short, my French teacher was flunking the lunch lady in school property. They both were fired immediately. Freshman year of high school, we kept having bomb scares. About once a month, we would have to evacuate, while the police brought the bomb dogs to check out the place. Turns out it was one of our long-term sub-teacher. She got arrested, but don't know the end result. Thanks for watching Reddit Hero. Like and subscribe for more amazing Reddit stories. Also don't forget to share these stories with your family and friends. Click a video below to continue watching our previous Reddit stories.